Today on Dylan Talks Tone, we review the new Keeley Compressor Plus. So, Robert Keeley obviously is responsible for one of the greatest compressors of all time. He has the 2-knob compressor and the 4-knob compressor. And after all that time, he decided to update it with a completely new one. And so you might be wondering why and what he added. This could be a million hours long because this is such a good compressor. So I'm just going to focus on a few of the highlights, and then I'm going to show you some of those highlights in action with a couple of different guitars. Okay, so what I want to show you first, let's talk about the controls on the compressor itself. The top two, sustain and level, are very similar to his normal 2-knob compressor that he's had for all these years. Okay, now this is where the similarity starts to go away though. The two bottom knobs and this middle switch are very, very interesting. First of all, let's talk about the blend knob. We know that there's a lot of new compressors out that have a blend knob. This one, all the way in this position, is 50% of your signal from your amp and 50% compressed signal. As you bring this up, the proportion becomes more and more compressed until you get full squish all the way the other way. It is a very cool thing that we'll show you in action here in a few minutes. The other knob here is the tone control. As you compress signal, any kind of signal in any situation, certain frequencies are the first ones to go. A lot of times it's the highs. So, because they're the most delicate, right? So they start to go away. So that's what this is able to do. This tone control, it's not like a tone control on a guitar that like makes it super muddy when it's turned all the way down. It's actually, it almost kind of reminds me of a presence. It just brings that sparkle back into the compressed signal, especially when you have a really compressed signal. Now, this button in the middle, this switch right here, single coil and humbucker. That thing is huge. A lot of times, because a humbucker has more voltage, okay, when you pluck the string, it creates more voltage and for a longer period of time. Humbuckers tend to do that. They tend to stay at a higher voltage for a longer period of time. Higher volume, higher everything, higher output. The problem is that humbuckers have their own kind of natural compression. So when you use a compressor with humbuckers that already have their own natural compression, especially depending on how you set your amp, it can get really, really squishy. So this switch changes the release time of the compression. So it compresses it for a second and then it lets it go and allows the humbucker to do its kind of natural thing. It's really, really cool. We'll show you that in a second. Those are the three kind of, to me, highlights that make this thing wicked versatile. That makes it to where you can use this with virtually any guitar, any amp, any pickup situation, and adjust for the output of your pickups, adjust for the amount of compression that your amp already has, and it's way more flexible than a normal old 2-knob or even the 4-knob compressor that preceded the Compressor Plus. So, let's go ahead and show you in a couple of situations how this can be used. Now, we weren't able to show you every situation that you would use this compressor in. But the 3 questions I like to ask with every review video that we do is, what did he have in mind when he made this thing? Well, he wanted it to be more versatile. He wanted you to have a reason to use a compressor. Let me tell you what, I've never been a compressor guy until this thing. I found a place for this on my board. Number 2, did he hit the mark? Absolutely. The blend knob making the amount of compression, the ratio is different and more flexible in my opinion. The single coil humbucker switch is incredible, especially for guys that leave this on all the time, but they may switch guitars. Having that release setting switchable on the fly is something that makes this a very flexible situation, and it puts clarity and note definition back into a compressed signal that would otherwise be lost. Moving on to the tone control, I believe that this does exactly the same thing. When you squish all the highs out of a signal, sometimes your signal can get a little dead, you can feel a little overcompressed, and then you might not even want to use these. Being able to put that back in a little bit and balance that back out is fantastic. And I would like to add that this thing makes a fantastic boost as well. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to see more like this, or you have any questions about this, please subscribe to our channel, leave your comments below, and let me know what you think about this in the comments below as well. My name is Dylan, and this has been Dylan Talks Tone.